That's the problem with the world now. All that stuff.
Yeah, he had a whole lot of stuff, and she liked it too. She liked I'm just saying. From what I saw, she highly enjoyed herself. Welcome to the Switch Style Podcast, where we encourage you to think beyond what you hear. I'm your host, Smooth, and I'm joined by Riggs and Vaughn. Riggs, what up, man?
Ain't nothing. What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
What's up, people? Sorry for the delayed reaction. Hey, people.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Vaughn?
What's up?
What's going on, Jay?
Oh, I'm good, man. No complaints.
Seeing that beautiful smile.
Yeah, I try to smile. Yeah, somebody told me I was handsome one time.
You are.
Really? Wow, I appreciate that. Vaughn making me blush.
You are.
Making me blush already. Wow. Yeah, don't let the girls hear that.
Well, they done heard it now.
Yeah, it's too late.
Too late. It's out there.
It's out there. Well, glad to see both of you, of course. And audience, welcome back to the Switch Style Podcast. This is actually episode 47. And on episode 47, we'll give you a quick rundown really fast. We'll update the charts, let you know what's coming out this Friday, February 24th. And we're actually reviewing Sampha's Process, or the name of the album is Process by Sampha. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. But before we do anything else, please go subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all at
Switch Style Podcast.
And also check us out on Facebook,
Instagram,
and
Twitter.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and update the charts. On the Billboard 200, the 50 Shades Darker soundtrack hits number 1, earning 123,000 units. 72,000 of those were traditional album sales. Any thoughts?
No, I ain't never see the 50 Shades of, was it black? Gray.
Gray. Yeah, 50 Shades of Gray. Yeah.
See how lost I am? So, yeah.
But that was a parody, though. I think the one with the Wayans brothers, Marley.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. But I didn't even see Gray, so I don't know about Darker, so.
Yeah, I mean, for all the freaks out there, if you're a freak, if you like to get freaky, that's the movie for you.
That's the movie for you.
Yeah, the dude, he a real freak. He got whips, chains, he got rooms with all kinds of stuff.
That's the problem with the world now, all that stuff.
Yeah, he had a whole lot of stuff, and she liked it too. She liked I'm just saying. From what I saw, she highly enjoyed herself.
All right now.
So I just
like
he's blushing.
me, I'm a very inquisitive guy.
Okay.
And when something is so popular, I just have to check it out for myself, because people are like, and I know this wasn't a guy's movie. Mostly women.
Right.
Saw the
because of the book. They
Right.
read the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they brought the movie out, okay.
Right. So it came on HBO, and I said, let me watch it
And see what all the buzz about.
Right. So, and Dakota Johnson plays she's the main actress.
Okay.
Melanie Griffith and what's his name from Miami Vice is her father.
Don Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, those are her parents. So congratulations to 50 Shades Darker and the prequel, 50 Shades of Grey. And also, to note, we already talked about it, the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack, the prequel, it debuted at number 2 in 2015. So congrats to them. And on the Hot 100, Ed Sheeran, he scores a 4th week at number 1 with Shape of You. And also Katy Perry and Skip Marley's Chained to the Rhythm debuts at number 4.
Okay. I got to check out Miss Katy Perry.
Yeah, and that's the song she sung at the Grammys.
Right.
She performed at
Okay.
the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
both of them on the Grammys.
Yeah, I forgot about. Skip, and he's actually one of the daughters.
Oh, okay, all right.
Uh-huh. And speaking of, I read so much stuff, I just want to throw this out there. Rohan Marley, who's married to Lauryn Hill,
Uh-huh.
the oldest son, Zion.
Just had a baby.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that too. And they was cracking jokes about the baby.
What's wrong with the baby?
They said the baby look old.
He look old,
All
like
babies,
Benjamin
all
Button.
babies look old.
Yeah.
Bring it up, little old men and women.
Right. He didn't look like Benjamin Button or anything, did he?
Nah, he ain't look that old, but they was just like the baby look old. I think they was saying something like Trump. He looked orange or something.
Oh,
It
wow.
was something crazy. I don't even know what I was watching. I was like, dang. They just blew it.
Wow.
You know how you watch something? You like, dang. I was happy for them, and then they went and
Yeah.
said that, and you like, oh, okay.
Because I had never seen Zion before, but he looks nothing like Lauryn Hill
He
to
don't.
me.
I didn't know he was that old.
So congratulations to the Marley family. And one more Marley family note. This is actually the first top 10 hit by any Marley,
Wow.
including Bob, Ziggy, Steven, Damien. No one in the family has ever had a top 10 hit on the Billboard Hot 100.
On the Billboard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is their first one. So congrats to Skip Marley and Katy Perry. And we'll actually talk about that album later on in the year when it comes out. So we'll actually move on to what's new. But before we do that, again, go subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all at
Switch Style Podcast.
And also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and
Twitter.
all right. So let's actually find out what's coming out this Friday, February 24th. So look out for new albums from Little Big Town. They're back with their latest, The Breaker, and Little Big Town, they're country stars, 2-time Grammy Award winners, most notably Girl Crush. That's their big song, audience, if you're not familiar. This next guy, I know Riggs is familiar with him. Jazz trumpeter Rick Braun. He's back with his latest, Around the Horn. Want to talk
I
about
like
him?
that title.
Well, Rick Braun is cool. I like him when he sticks to more of a classic style, than a more overproduced like synth sound style or whatever. It can be a little cheesy, but he's a bad dude.
Yeah, he is. And next on the list is vocalist Phil Perry. He's back with Breathless. He was a session vocalist for a long time, but eventually he broke out and did his own thing. But he sort of flies under the radar, but I think a lot of people will like Phil Perry.
Yeah, he does a lot of covers, a whole lot of covers, and his voice is, the pitch of his voice sometimes is, you just gotta like Phil Perry, but he can sing definitely, and he's definitely a respected artist. I saw him perform with Will Downing, and he tore it up. He's a bad dude too.
Yeah, he is. And next, Riggs' favorite guy. A lot of people love this guy. And Josh, I know you listening. This one is for you. Thundercat. He's back with his latest, Drunk. So I'm excited about this one. And we're actually going to talk about Thundercat's Drunk next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
And just for all of you who don't know, Thundercat is probably the premier bassist in all of music right now. He's played on everybody's records from Erykah Badu to D'Angelo to Kendrick Lamar. And you might not know him personally, but you've heard him. Trust me, you've heard him at some point over the last probably 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats, Thundercat. And last but not least, Future. He's back with his second album in 2 weeks. It's titled Hendrix. He put out an album last week that was titled Future, which is it was self-titled Future, and it's gonna debut at number 1. We'll talk about it next week. And his latest album that's coming out this Friday, it's titled Hendrix. So the guy's been working pretty hard.
Oh yeah, 2 albums in 2 weeks. Usually, people put out 2 albums in 2 years, 3
Right.
years,
Right.
5 years. But yeah, that's a hard-working man.
Yeah, he's been working hard. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about the dispute that he had with Rocco. It was a few months back. It might have been in July or August of last year. But they went to court to settle a dispute because Future is still signed to Rocco's
Right, I do remember that.
A1 label. And from what I hear, Future is actually dropping so many albums to go ahead and get out of that deal, from what I understand.
Yeah, a good amount of people do that. I know Prince did it, and there was somebody else, I can't remember, who went ahead and just, to get out of contract, just put him out. Now, the thing about it is they usually end up putting out music that has low quality.
Exactly.
But, no, let's see. I mean, I think Future is actually probably just going to put out some good music, so hey.
Yeah, Future, he's something else. And just one note to throw out there, Future is going to be the first artist to debut 2 albums in successive weeks, back-to-back weeks. He'll be the first artist in Billboard history to have 2 number 1 albums back-to-back, debut albums. They'll actually debut at number 1. So
I was listening to something the other day, so I don't know what I was listening to. I guess it was the first one. The first one
he has
that came out last week.
Oh, Future.
I was listening to something, and I was like, am I listening to the same song? It sounded like it was the same type of.
Might be, and I'm not the foremost Future expert. And honestly, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of Future's music, especially a lot of the deep album cuts. I know a lot of people that love Future, though. Yeah. And I respect his grind. I respect the hustle. And so, congrats, Future. Hopefully he gets out of that deal with Rocco, because I know there's a lot of bad blood there.
Oh, Monica Rocco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see what happens. But who do you guys expect to debut at number 1 next week?
I don't know. This is a tough one. I think it might be a little Big Town.
Oh, I can already tell you it's going to be Future.
Yeah.
They've already put out projections.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to do it back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying, I don't know, man. The hip hop albums that have been dropping have really been taking over.
Yeah, they have. They have, and I agree. It's surprising with country music. Their biggest stars hadn't really put out records lately, but you would think there would be more support behind a lot of the country artists. But they hadn't put up big numbers in that first week, at least not lately. But we'll see. So we'll actually move on to the Sampha album review. We're actually reviewing Process.
Mr. Sampha.
Yeah, Mr. Sampha. So in audience, before we start, before we do any of our album reviews, we just like to tell you a little bit about the artist, just to bring you up to speed and just to help you become more familiar with who they are and where they come from. So let's do it. Sampha Cissé was born November 16th, 1988 in London, England. Sampha, he was given a piano at the age of 3 by his father. His father actually bought the piano from a neighbor, and Sampha actually started to play the piano. His brother said every time they looked up, he was on the piano playing, and that led to some production work. But fast forward all the way to 2009, he was working with this producer by the name of SBTRKT. I'm not sure how he actually pronounces it, or if he
if he does pronounce it.
Right. Right, but that eventually led to some instrumentals, an EP full of instrumentals titled Sundanza. The Sundanza EP that he released in 2009. And somehow, Sampha's music ended up in Drake's hands. And he eventually worked with Drake on 2013's Nothing Was the Same. He was featured on the Too Much track. And that was the first time I heard Sampha. So, long story short, he goes on to work with Solange on her Seat at the Table album last year. He was featured on Don't Touch My Hair. I don't have any. That doesn't apply to me. And he was also worked with Kanye West on the Life of Pablo album. He was on the St. Pablo track. But that's pretty much Sampha's story in a nutshell. And he's also currently signed to the Young Turk label. They're out of London. And this is actually Sampha's first album, titled Process, that we're about to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Riggs, when did you first hear Sampha?
Same on the Drake track. I like his arrangement. He plays very well, but something about it, the way he arranges what he does, kind of airy, but still full with simp sounds and such. But yeah, that's my first experience with him.
Vaughn, when did you first hear Sampha?
On Solange.
So okay,
with Solange, I didn't ever hear of him, never, and I've heard Drake stuff, just didn't know who he was.
And yeah, he's pretty new to most people, and like I said earlier, my experience was the same as Riggs. I heard him on Drake's Too Much, and when I first heard him, I thought he was very special. But back to this album, Process. Vaughn, what was your first reaction to the music?
It's a little different. A lot of sympathizers, it's kind of like sci-fi, that's what the vibe I get. You have to really, I listened to it the first time, and then I had to go back because it's like he talking riddles. Like, it's like he doesn't give you, he could be talking about one thing, but you have to figure out what he really means. So, and maybe that's because he's from London. Maybe that's his style. It's different.
And I'm glad you mentioned the way he decides to convey his lyrics. We'll talk about that more in a second. So, Riggs, what about you? What was your first reaction to the music?
Oh, my first reaction was like, But, once you listen to like a couple of times, then you start to hear more inside what's there. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, I love lyrical content. So I do like the fact that, he speaks in riddles or poems or whatever you want to call it. That intrigues me. I like that part. You have to listen a little bit inside the music to hear like the brilliance. And like I said, the arrangement where everything is placed. So I like that.
And for me, it's the same. When I first listen, it doesn't hit you immediately. It's definitely a different experience. And one of my thoughts as I was writing my notes while I was listening, and as I read his story, his parents are from Sierra Leone. So he's of African descent. And I was reading an interview on him, and they shared a lot of his background, more specifically his musical influences. And I was thinking to myself, I was sort of envious of Sampha in a way. And reason being is that he grew up around such a diverse selection of, a diverse set of influences.
World music.
Yeah, world music. And musically, his palette is so wide open. And growing up in America,
Right.
you only grow up listening to certain types of music. Like I only heard Sade, Anita Baker, Temptations,
Right.
mostly R&B, and I grew up in the hip hop age.
Don't sell yourself short. The person who came up with the coined the term "listen beyond what you hear" is definitely musically open.
Right. I mean, I am. Once I got to college, I was able to experience a lot more things. I ventured into rock. I went to a predominantly white school, so I ventured into rock, and now, people like Steely Dan, Led Zeppelin, Elton John, and a lot of other people are some of my favorites. But just back to Sampha, musically, he's so diverse, and you can hear it. It just oozes out of him. And I don't even want to label what he does. And I refuse, because it's not R&B. If I had to put anything on it, I would call it electronic, because that's how most people classify it.
Well, actually, that's actually how they classify it. Like if you look them up on Wikipedia, it's electronic soul, which I think pretty much fits.
I definitely don't want to box him in. But since we were talking about the lyrics, Riggs, how do you feel about the way he decided to interpret his lyrics?
I like it. It draws you in. People are visual, so even when they're listening, you want something in your mind's eye that gives you a picture. So I think he does that very well. If you want to take the time to listen and be drawn in, it paints a picture for you that you say, okay, well, that was brilliant. Okay, I can feel that, and so on. So I like the way he does that.
Vaughn, what about you? How do you feel about the way he interpreted his lyrics?
Like I said, it's different. He definitely gets your ear because I think the first time I listened to the album, I was just basically listening to the music. The second time I was listening to the words, and then the words, I'm like, okay. Then the third time I had to look up the words. So he just does it. He just has a different way of how he says things. And like I was telling Riggs earlier, like people from different places express themselves in different ways. And he just probably expressed his way in saying things. He could say something. He could have said it one way, but he meant it a totally different, the same way, but just expressed it in a different way, the way he said it, if that makes any sense. But he's different. And I was intrigued because I was like, okay, he's from London. He's, it's a different type of style. And I think it works for him.
And another thing that it stood out to me when I read more about Sampha, a lot of the people who interviewed him, they would mention that he was more of a shy guy, very coy, very soft-spoken. And Sampha, in a few interviews, he said it himself that he doesn't fully express himself in the way that he would want. And he mentioned working with Drake. And he said he admired Drake so much because Drake could fully convey or express the way he felt through his lyrics. For Sampha, I don't think he's gotten to a point yet where he can fully express himself in the way that he wants to. I think he might want to, but he seems to be more of a private guy, like a lot of great stars, Sade, even a Maxwell. But I agree with both of you. I think that's probably lyrically hurts him. And I think some artists, they try to be different when they write their lyrics, but it doesn't always connect. So in terms of songwriting, he has a long way to go, in my opinion. Riggs, what do you think it's fair to put a label or categorize Sampha?
I don't know. I mean, with anybody, you'll say, "Oh, don't put us in it's just music. It's just this. It's just that." I understand that, but we label everything, everybody, it just is what it is. It's just how you differentiate one thing from another, how you express, just like, in his lyrics, somebody's lyrics and their songwriting is a way to express or convey something. And some people say it's putting in a box, but that's a way to express how his music hits the senses in your brain or whatever. It's just style in this way. So I don't see anything wrong with a label. People may not like the label that they get, but I think if that's the case, a lot of times maybe your craft should go in a way where nobody could put you in a place that you don't want to be.
Vaughn, what about you? Do you think they should label him or lump him in a certain category with other people?
No, because he's definitely, like I said, different. I was saying electronic R&B kinda, but I don't know. That's the way I was more going towards, but I don't know.
See, I think with him, the electronic soul, it fits because he has a lot of electronic elements and he's soulful, but he's not really R&B.
Yeah.
So electronic soul, I think actually fits, in my opinion, but it's just my opinion. I don't know if he likes it or not, but.
And I mean, when you listen to the music, you can hear electronic, you hear some bits of R&B, you can hear hip hop, you can hear some elements of pop. I mean, there's a lot. I think the biggest influence is a lot of those African tribal rhythms, like in Cora Sings, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of my favorites on the album. But you can hear a lot of those African tribal rhythms, and I'm sure with his parents being from Sierra Leone, you can hear he probably grew up around a lot of that influence.
Right. In one interview, he says a lot of his influence, you can hear his brother's foot stomps and the rhythms he plays, and the chords on the piano. So that's deep. Yeah.
So Vaughn, let me ask you this: what do you think about Sampha's career prospects? Do you think he could be a star?
Oh yeah, He done work with some of the best: Alicia Keys, Solange, Drake. He done work with a lot of. He got his foot out there, so I'm sure he gonna be getting calls more and more.
Riggs, what about you? You think he could be a star?
I think he could be anything, but I think he will probably, if he stays true to who he is, he might be one of those who has a few albums that really do kind of, hit, depending on what time what's going on when he comes out. But I think for the most part, he'll probably be an artist that has a cult following, but he'll probably have most of its success behind the scene.
Yeah, he is. He's a wonderful producer. I think he has a really transcendent sound. I think his sound could reach people all over the world, and it obviously does now. But he just doesn't have the persona of a star to me. And I say that because I watched an interview that he did for Beats One. It was with Pharrell and some other guy. I don't know who the guy was. But Sampha was talking. So Pharrell and the other guy, they just sat there and looked at him with like the blankest stare. Like Sampha was talking, and whatever he said, it really didn't interest Pharrell. And I found myself, I actually cut the interview off. I just said, okay, I'll just go back to something else. And I won't say that's a knock on him personally. Sampha is who he is, and I don't want him to be anything else beside who it is that he wants to be. But he could be a star. You never like Sade. I've never met Sade. I don't know Sade. I've never seen a Sade interview, and she could be bored when you meet her.
Right.
I mean, she's beautiful, so I would probably sit there and listen to whatever Sade would want to tell me.
So you like saying like he would be better a behind the scenes type of person, a producer, like what he does. He's doing a lot of producing now. That might be his thing. That might be more better him, where he don't have to be up front and. But I'm quite sure we're going to be able to hear some stuff and be like, oh, there goes Sam. We going to hear him in some other music.
I'm glad you said that. When I was writing my notes, I was thinking his career could either go two ways. He could be one of the greatest side men in music history, or he could be one of music's biggest stars. I think songwriting is going to be key for him in the future.
Songwriting and... he's got to do something a little different with his vocals. There are plenty of people who are not like strong singers, but they have a certain sound. So I think vocally, I'm not saying he needs to sound better, but he needs to develop more piercing sound.
You know, this is what, 2017, so he's only been doing music for 8 years. Well, longer than that even. That's a long time, but I think his sound is still developing. And when I wrote my individual review, I asked about 3 questions in the review because I'm still curious as to how he'll develop over the years. But like I said, I think he could go 2 ways.
Now, anybody who does a video and you don't see their face and they just playing the piano, now you already know. Like, he's totally not into all that shine. He just want to write his music and probably put his music out. Like you said with the interviews, he don't want to do no interviews. He don't want to do all that stuff. He don't.
And I'm glad you said that. He looked just as disinterested as Pharrell and the other guy did. He was talking, but he was just kind of like, okay, when is it over? Like, how many more questions are y'all gonna ask me? I mean, why am I here? That's what I got from it.
And then I saw, what was the other video I saw? Blood
on Me.
Blood on Me. Like that video, it's dry.
Yeah.
It's like something chasing him. He in the car up in the trees coming through his body. Like,
and I wonder if that actually works like better in Europe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because some of their stuff is more, I guess we would consider it like dry, but they would consider it more artistic, maybe. I don't know. So, that might be
cultural difference.
Yeah, you right, and that's one of the things. And I know me here. I like a little drama from some of my artists sometimes, and I won't say I hate to admit it, but I watch Love and Hip Hop and Atlanta and all these crazy reality shows because I won't say I lack drama, but I don't have any drama in my life. So I like to
live
watch
vicariously through them.
Right. Not that I want those problems.
Right.
But it's just interesting to see. And Sampha right now, he just doesn't have that it.
Right.
Like, well, I won't even say you have to have drama in your life, but lyrically, his story just doesn't connect at this point. Even when the song No One Knows Me Like My Piano.
Right.
It was a song about, him getting his piano at 3 years old and his mother who passed in 2015. But some people can write the most heartfelt songs to their mom or a family member or anyone who's passed. But this one, it just doesn't quite connect. It's a good song.
That's one of my favorites.
It's a really good song, but there's just something about, and audience, don't get me wrong. The music is really good. It's very innovative. It's unlike anything you're going to hear out there these days. And all of my critic friends have rated this album very high. And I have myself, because musically it's completely out of this world. It's unlike anything you're going to hear out there. But lyrically, he's not connecting for me. That's just my thing. Riggs, let me ask you this. Do you think people are going to understand this album?
I honestly, I don't think that album is that hard to understand. But, they want to understand it. I would say those who are already kind of, I'm going to go ahead and say musically enlightened. That's not to say anybody who doesn't like it is not, or who likes more mainstream popular things. There's nothing bad with that. But the mainstream, I don't know if they're going to want to connect with it. But it ain't so out. It's not so out there. It is good music. It just takes a little bit of patience, I guess. And, most music that people hear that they want to listen to, that they like on, consistent basis, you like it within the first 5 to 15 seconds. And if people don't feel it by then, it's usually over the shoulder, and win. If you give it a second listen and don't toss it, then you'll start to connect.
You're right. Vaughn, what about you? Do you think people would understand?
Dude is hard to follow. So that's just straight up. He hard to follow. So like Riggs said, if you listen to the first time, you don't get it. But I knew I was doing this review, so I forced myself to listen to it 3 times. And the third time, I had to follow the music with the words in order to follow what he was saying. And then I just came to the thing, it's a cultural difference in the way he delivers his music. And do I think people understand it? Maybe the London people will. You would have to be a fan over here in order to, I don't know if nobody would just pick it up. I don't think they would just pick it up. Like just say, oh, the sample I heard. They gonna just know him
Switch
from
Style Podcast, so they will now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think they're just gonna pick it up. But it's a good listen. You gotta give it a chance.
You do. I agree. And I'll use this analogy. You know when you buy a new car,
Mm-hmm.
you love it, but over time, you might get tired of it and the value depreciates
It does.
over time. But this album, per se, in my opinion, the value of it will appreciate over time. People might not get it at the time, and I agree with Riggs. It's not as out there as some people might think. It's really accessible, the production itself. But I think lyrically, when people hear it, they might not connect with it. But like Vaughn said, it's a cultural difference. And I think we here in America, not just in America, but wherever you're from, you're in so many ways, you're enslaved by a certain thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I always open the show with it. Think beyond what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those albums that forces you to think beyond what you hear. I think it also reminds us that there are no rules in music. And I think in our mind, I think we've made up these make-believe rules and these traditions that we think should be followed over time.
Right. Supposed to be that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sampha completely tears all of that down.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be a big blockbuster like Adele's album, but I think everybody should hear this album. It's definitely worth hearing. It's a great experience. It's like looking at a piece of art, like a Van Gogh or a Monet. You might not understand it. They probably looked at Monet and Van Gogh. They probably looked at Picasso. They probably looked at Michelangelo. They probably looked at all of them crazy when they were doing their paintings. But now, decades, hundreds of years later, people can appreciate their work. And I think Sampha is one of those guys. So,
And I know I'm the type of person, I can hear something the first time, but it might still be in my head.
right.
And if I'm going through something or I think about something, I'll be like, oh, that song. You know, so I think it could be something like that.
It is one of these. You have to, I will admit, you have to be in a certain mood to listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to be in a certain mood to listen to it. So if I'm going to the club, which I never do, but if I was going to a club, I'm definitely not listening to Sampha.
Yeah, it is kind of a somber album.
But that's why I just showed y'all the picture.
Oh yeah, he was kind of smiling on the picture.
Yeah,
He looked like he was having
that's the
fun.
most I seen him
Smile.
So, but if you look at his personality, if you look at his picture and you'll see why it fits him.
Right.
His music look just like him.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
I mean,
You're right.
that makes any sense.
In terms of the facial expressions.
Yeah.
Like physically, in audience, if you haven't seen Sampha, we'll just try to describe him the best that we can. He's a black man. His parents are from Africa. We mentioned that earlier. And it's not full-blown dreads, but he has locks.
Mm-hmm.
He has locks in his hair. He's clean shaven
Mm-hmm.
with a mustache. And when you see, like, if I was to, he probably doesn't have the demeanor or the swag of a Future or a Migos or a Ray Shrimmer.
No.
But if you saw him on the street, you would immediately think, and if he told you he did music, you'd be like, oh, okay, trap. What kind of music? You do trap music?
Right.
Where you from, Atlanta?
I don't think I would say that.
You, but no, that's without even talking to him.
No.
Oh, you
Because as
look at
soon as
him.
he open up his mouth, you're gonna be like, oh no.
No, actually, because he's clean shaven and the cut of the clothes that he wears and stuff like that, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't say okay.
I wouldn't think he was a
Yeah.
rapper.
Nah, I wouldn't thought he was a rapper.
You wouldn't thought he was okay.
I
Well, maybe it's
would
just
look
me.
at him as a geek.
I don't know if I would say that, but
He don't look like a geek.
but I don't know how to explain his look.
Look at that picture, man.
Okay, well that picture he just looked like a happy dude.
Man, Sampha, he's probably a very cool guy, and I hope we get to meet Sampha one day. I'm sure he's a good guy. I just hopefully over time he figures out a better way to express himself through the music, and That's my only thing.
I think the only way he knows how to express himself is through that piano.
And he said it. No one knows him like his piano.
Yep, and his mama's home.
So I think over time, I think as his writing continues to get better, as he expands his horizons or probably goes out and speaks to a few more people, I think that lyrically, I think once he experiences more in life, because he was born in 88, so he's only 28.
Yeah, and I don't think his writing is bad. I think a little bit of word economy and vocal arrangement, even though his musical arrangement is spectacular, that would change a lot. But I think his writing is actually pretty good.
It is unique in a way because he's not using popular terms or phrases that you normally hear.
Nope.
And I think it's a way to hide his truths. Truths, is that a word? Truths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a way to hide that a bit, and I get it because I mean he's a public figure, and they don't want to tell all their business, and I completely get that. So I'm not mad at that at all. But
that is the way to be the most successful, though. When you take your heart, your soul, and you just put it on the canvas or on the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm happy for Sampha. I think he put together an amazing body of work, and well, Vaughn, what are some of your favorite songs?
Well, of course, I like the Mama song. No One Knows Me.
You
like
got
the
you another
piano.
Mama song.
Yeah, I got me. Man, they killing me. Not really killing me. They're overloading me with all these mother songs, and I'm loving it.
You got you a Mama song 3 weeks in a row.
I know, right?
Big Sean gave you one.
Right.
What's the boy? Lupe Fiasco, and
Lupe,
now Sampha.
Yeah, now Sampha. Yeah, I like that one. Plastic,
100 Degrees.
100 Degrees. I like that, and I like Incomplete Kisses. Those are the top threes that I like.
All of those are good. Riggs, what about you?
Incomplete Kisses, chorus sings I like. I do like the Plastic 100 Degrees Celsius. Even Blood on Me I like. All of them I kind of like in a little different way. Like, how you say you had to be in a certain mood or, type of thing.
Yeah.
I thought when I watched the video, when I was like, oh, okay. He running away so the blood won't. I was trying to connect the song with the video.
Oh, and no one knows me like my piano, like the piano. That's a good song. It's a real good song.
And as far as Blood on Me is concerned, he actually broke down the lyrics. There was a video on Genius, and he said he was interpreting a dream that he had, that people were actually chasing him. And when you actually listen to the record, you can, in that first verse, you can hear it sounds like he's breathing. It sounds like he's I think I read something that said he actually jogged. Then he went into the booth and sung the lyrics. Look, if you go, whenever you get a chance, just go back and listen to Blood on Me. It sounds like he's breathing very hard in that first verse. It's very like his production techniques are just completely amazing in a lot of ways. And one song, Reverse Fault.
That song kind of, yeah.
If you guys notice in the verses, he actually reversed the track itself. I don't know if you can hear it, but if you play it back, he reversed the track itself. And then when he gets to the chorus, it actually reverts to playing the correct way. So he has a lot of really cool production techniques, but a lot of my favorites were Under, Timmy's Prayer, What Should I Be? I like everything on the album. And like I said, I have to be in a certain mood when I listen to it. This album, like Frank Ocean's album, I think it says something when you're able to capture a specific mood and do it well. Like if I'm, is what they say, if I'm in my feelings, that's what they say.
Yeah, I'm in my feelings.
Yeah, if I'm in my feelings, this is definitely what I'm listening to.
But I personally rather listen to this than Frank Ocean.
I still listen to
Frank.
Yeah, me too. He in my playlist.
I was listening to Frank earlier this week, to be honest.
What you talking about, Riggs?
Yeah,
I just told you.
One thing that I think the biggest difference between him and Frank right now is lyrically. I think Frank is able to paint a picture, a more vivid picture with what he says lyrically. You might not want to hear everything he has to say lyrically, but I think Frank, he's better at expressing his thoughts more than Sampha is at this point. So I think that's the biggest difference. And speaking of Frank, he actually lives in London.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah, he moved to London. So, Briggs, would you recommend this album to a friend?
Depending on the friend, because certain friends will just be like, just wouldn't get it.
You're right.
They wouldn't. I'd agree with that one.
Vaughn, what about you?
I agree with that 100%. They'd be like, what you got me listening to?
I think if you're a music enthusiast, I think I use that term loosely. Because people tell me that they love music, but a lot of them, they really don't love music.
It's a certain type of music they love.
Exactly.
Right.
If you love music, you
listen to anything.
And you'll definitely be able to appreciate this album. I'm happy for Sampha. I think he made a really good body of work, and the critics love him. I don't think it's not going to do well commercially. He only debuted at number 50 on the Billboard 200. I'm not sure exactly how many he sold, but it wasn't a lot. I want to say it was probably somewhere between 10 and maybe 20,000. So, but congrats, Sampha. You guys have anything else?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, congratulations to him. I look forward to seeing your name on some other places.
Who, Sampha's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to, because I really do think that might really get him, and maybe he might need to produce for a while, and then once he build himself up, then he can come out and he have the personality, the everything. It'll just show his growth and how he was, how he has grew over the years, and just sat back and do some producing. I think that might do. I think that might just do him some good. Do some producing.
Audience, one more thing before we go. The fact that he's been co-signed by Drake, Kanye West, Solange, among many others, those are all artists that I respect musically. Now, I've been on record. I've given Drake a hard time the last year. But Drake is one of those guys that I highly respect. I think he has a great ear. He has an amazing pen. For him to do what he's done consistently at such a high level, you can't deny what he's done. But back to Sampha, for them to recognize Sampha's talent, Sampha has a piece of what they want, or they need a piece of what Sampha has.
Right.
And they went to him for a specific thing, and Don't Touch My Hair was one of the more amazing songs on Solange's album. And Sampha was a part of that. So, audience, y'all need to check them out. Y'all might not like it, but yeah, y'all might not like it, but
you just might like it,
your
though.
music
You just might
palette.
like it.
There you go, Vaughn. Expand your musical palette. It's a good album. I think it could be great if he tweaked a lot of lyrics or made it more accessible. But, Riggs, you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Well, we can go ahead and shout some people out and go home.
Do a shout out.
Vaughn, what you got?
I would just like to shout out you guys. Hey, what's up? Glad to be here. Glad to see you. To all our audience, thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys. My family and friends, love you guys. And that's it.
Riggs, what you got?
Same. Everybody, who's listening and following the Switch Style podcast, and, who enjoys the reviews and all the other musical tidbits that we put out there for you. We appreciate your listenership. Thank you very much to my Switch Style podcast family. And yeah.
Cool. Well, Vaughn, Riggs, thank you as always, of course.
Thank you.
I appreciate both of you all. And shout out to whoever it is in Kansas City.
Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City, they're like our highest played market. Our biggest market right now.
Oh, wow.
I don't know who's in Kansas City or what it is about us that they like in Kansas City, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kansas City.
Yeah, we sincerely appreciate it, and keep listening. And, if you want to get in contact with us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email us at switchstylepodcast@gmail.com. We would definitely love to hear from you.
Yeah, send us some Kansas City barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah, that barbecue is great.
I can
It's
just
great.
see the KC.
Yeah, some great barbecue. But thank you, everybody in Kansas City. And not just Kansas City, but everybody who listens to the show, period. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate it. And last but not least, I want to thank all the Girl Scouts. Whoever came up with the Samoa cookie, or whoever had the idea to come up with the cookie, to sell the cookie, thank you. Because I ate a whole box of them
Oh
at work.
gosh.
Boy, I'm mad at them actually because
Why?
small cookies, I cannot just eat 2 or 3.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
have
I
to
want
take
y'all
out
to
a
know
box.
I sell Girl Scout cookies. That's another one of my hustles.
Really?
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna say it's my hustle. But one of the ladies at my job, hey Gretchen, her daughter sells Girl Scout cookies, and I always have some. So
Oh, okay.
let me know if y'all need some.
Yeah, I love Girl Scout cookies, and I might need to stay away from them because I ate a whole box in 2 hours.
I know it's hard. Them Samoas they addictive.
Yeah, they are. So thank you, some more creator
To
Girl
the cookie-
Scouts.
Yeah, the cookie girls.
So congratulations, keep doing your thing. But again, audience, follow us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and YouTube. Go subscribe everywhere. And thank you again for listening. This is episode 47.
47.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.